So if we break this, break that, break that, I'm fine. Hello and welcome to our Minecraft Hardcore world. I'm Dew Mountain and this is episode 9. So we are back here again in our village where we're doing our whole project, or first project. And as you can see, our crops have really grown in nicely. I love that that yellow band that goes around on the crops up on the hill there. I'm really happy with how that's all sort of turned up. And I have completely flattened out and leveled this area over here, which I was talking about, and as you can kind of tell, I have not yet actually brought the hill up to meet with it, but you know, it's getting there. I've also cleared up this path over here, which honestly looks really cool, and I have no idea what to put here, but just look at how it's got the view of the mountain up on the top there. It's a really cool spot, so you know, I've got to think of something nicely to go along there. But talking about thinking of things that's got to go where, last time we were talking about how, you know, I had some ideas of what to do with this area. I wanted to try and work out a theme and some build styles, a bit of a palette and everything for that. And well, I've been working away in a creative test world and I've come up with a simple idea which I like. Now, I know I said I wanted to sort of stay away a bit from like that Tudor, I think I got the word right that time, and sort of styling and medieval sort of thing, because, you know, I feel like I do that a fair bit, sort of styling with my builds. But, you know, this is our first project and I really want to sort of keep this world for a while, so I thought maybe it's alright to start off with a bit more of a comfortable palette so that we can actually get this done quickly, because then once this is done we get the dragon fight and the whole sort of game opens up even more for us. Oh man, I can see myself dying already with wings. But, you know, with that all sort of said, I feel like, you know, it's a good idea to sort of maybe start with that sort of styling a little bit to sort of come up with a bit of an easier build palette to get this first project done. Now, with that said, I'll send us over into that creative test world so you can check out I've got two sort of building ideas and a bit of a pathway and all that sort of stuff. But I thought I'd also set up a bit of the style and the theme or the lore for this village that we're going to be working on. So I've been thinking, you know, during the week that, what do I want this village to actually be and do? And well, I kind of want it to be somewhere that's just like nice and cozy. It's very, you know, welcoming and comforting, and you know, that's sort of the cozy sort of cottagey area sort of feel that I'm having with it. As well as, you know, I wanted that big project, that big build that's up on the hill there, that's kind of, yep, there we go, move out away from the tree. Something up there that's like, something that's going to be big and sort of like historical for the build. For the world. So I was thinking that maybe we could build up there like a grand hall or a grand library, and in there we can have lecterns that hold books with different stories about our sort of adventures along the way. So like we'd have a chapter in there dedicated to Joe and our 5 cats. We'd also have a book in there dedicated to Polly, who, bless his soul, saved our lives. If you haven't seen that caving episode, check that one out. Polly was an absolute hero and he deserves the garden back at our town. But, you know, things like that. And then when we survive the dragon fight, we can write up about that and put it up in, you know, the library sort of storage. So that's what I think is going to happen over there. I haven't actually designed any build for that yet. I've only sort of come up with a basic idea of what I want the block palette and everything to be around here. So, now that I've sort of given a bit of the whole talk about, you know, what I'm thinking with this village, how it's going to work, let's head on over to that creative test world and, you know, let me actually show you the build design. Alright, let's check it out. Alright guys, we are now over here in our creative test world where, as you can see behind me, I've done a little bit of toying around with some ideas on how to design up our stables and sort of like a generic sort of villager home, which, you know, will change up the design of the outside just a little bit to sort of fit with the trade of, you know, the villager that lives within there. I've also done a little bit of like some pathing ideas and, you know, an idea for a tree using the dripstone blocks, which I actually don't quite mind. And, you know, I wanted to actually see what it would look like to make like an animal pen using the brick walls, which it's okay, but I'm not really sold on how it looks for like a farm sort of stationed area, so we'll see how that goes. But if I jump on down here, we can have a bit more of a detailed look at our sort of stables which I'm setting up. Now, as you can see, we've got room here for horses, donkeys, mules, and llamas or alpacas, all to sort of stay stationed in here, so that we've got forms of transportation as well as transportation which can carry our storage, to move around. Now, with this build, I really just wanted it to be like the stable there. However, though, it looked a bit plain, so I've actually built up the top of this house here, and as you can see, we sort of got the black wool in the back of the windows to sort of black out what's in there, and we've even got this nice little cool stairwell to walk up there and everything. But really, it's all just a dummy area up here. I have not really any intention to sort of place anything up here because I want it more or less just for looks. Obviously we'll light it up so nothing spawns in here, but we might even just use it for storage space or a bit of like a farm or something up here that we don't really need to enter, because I sort of just like the idea of having the design, the little build up, but it doesn't really need to serve that much of a purpose like our houses will. Now, also one other thing that I've noticed from this is we're going to be very, very careful when villagers, start spawning in a bit more, villagers, because of all these barrels that are around. We're going to end up with a lot of fishermen if we're not careful. But yeah, I think this is a nice little cool idea for our stables, and will probably be one of the first things that we get built up, because we need a place to put our horse instead of leaving around different paddocks. But before we move on that, I'd like to talk about with the block palette and the sort of the colours here. Like, we're going to need to start farming up a lot more jungle wood to be able to get the jungle trapdoors. We're all good with the spruce and the oak and, the bricks we've already said we can get from our villagers back at home there. But a new block which I didn't realise I would like and I was testing with is this dried kelp block, which is, made from, obviously, kelp which is being dried in a furnace and then, turned into the block. Now, this is something that we don't actually have. So I've built over there in the background there a sort of a farm setup which we're going to use for it, but we'll talk about that after we've gone through and had a check out of our last little house here, which I've sort of designed up with the inspiration of being like Mark's place with the archery. So you can see here we've used this dried kelp blocks again for the roof design, as well as putting up here a lightning rod, because remember, we don't want any of our villagers to get struck by lightning because they'll turn into witches, and then, that'll be a real problem for our village. So each house, I'm thinking, will have this sort of, maybe not this exact design, but it'll be pretty close, because I kind of like this nice little housely sort of setup, and we've even got I've done a little like a bend sort of hook on the end there to sort of give a bit more detail, and I'm really happy with all this sort of look. We've got up here, as I was saying, with Marcotte in the idea for this, so we've got like the target blocks up there, but this could change. It was like a librarian, we could put books or something like that to sort of fit with whoever's living in the house. Now, none of these houses actually have interior, but like you can see, we've got a sectioned off wall area here where we could put the bed and a bit of workstation or some storage, just a little bit of decor all the way around. Now, I've also been toying with the idea of an archery setup, and I like having like the little men to practice shooting at, but this thing here really, I love how it's sort of just inset and just its sort of shape. It's all different upside down stairs, just 3 along the bottom and 3 on the top, with walls either side of the target block. But I really love how it sort of just looks a bit more set into the wall, and that might be what we'll do over there at Mark's area where it was up against that big sort of cliff face. We might even include this sort of pattern in the wall there, and then maybe set up a comparator or something to read the signal, and we can have some lights up here so that when we actually know we've hit the target, we can have one of the lights light up. But I think this is some pretty cool little designs, and this is going to fit with that sort of nice, cozy, little medieval, bit more cottagey sort of design for our village. Back onto what I was saying about with the dried kelp blocks. Now, to be able to get these, we're going to need to set up a little bit of a kelp farm, which is not that hard at all. It's pretty well much an exact replica of what we've done with the sugarcane and the bamboo, except we need water for this. So when the kelp grows up, gets detected again by the observer, which then powers the piston, destroying that kelp, which then sends up the rest of the kelp up there. Now, the process of the piston pushing out here does in fact destroy that water source. However, though, the kelp usually grows up in time to reset that to being a water source, and then any leftover kelp floats back up to the top and drops down here. So as you can see, we've got two different sort of storages here. So I was thinking maybe we could set up like a composter over here and start bone milling some of it, and then the rest of it we can store up to be, you know, smelted away. Over here is something that I needed to set up a bee farm, so I thought we could just design that there. So you've got the beehive over here, which is behind this block here. We've got our observer, our comparator, which is reading out the signal and sending it all the way back up here to our repeater, which then powers off the dispenser up at the top, which shears the honeycomb and yeah, places it all in there. But then I came up with the idea of sort of using a bit of like the honeycomb blocks as well as the raw gold block, or block of raw gold, to make up a bit of like a beehive sort of thing. And I was thinking that, you know, we could do this and then have it sort of up and around maybe like sort of one of our areas. It's a bit more of a hillier top side sort of thing. And that way we can build these into the little cliffs around our base and have these all set up here in sort of different locations, so that no matter what we're doing, it's sort of always in loaded chunks, at least one of the farms, because I think we've got about four beehives in our chest back at the pumpkin and melon farm, as well as 4, maybe 5 beehives still on the trees back at our tree farm area. So we can set up quite a few of these and maybe even set one of them up in our village area. So that's basically what I've been working on. As you can see, we've got our build design roughly for a few of our builds, as well as our concept for our kelp farm, which is going to need to be built up now so we can actually start using it, as well as our bee farm design, which I'm actually kind of happy with how this looks. It's pretty cool. I'm really happy with it. So with that all said, let's now pop back over to the hardcore world and actually go back to our home, our village there, not village, but our homestead, and set up this kelp farm so we can get it started. Alright, so we're back here now at our little base of operations, and you know, I hope you guys sort of enjoyed seeing a bit of that behind the scenes where I was sort of designing up what sort of style and what build palette to actually use for our village, because you know, it took a bit of time, but you know, I hope you guys are actually enjoying those sort of ideas and look forward to actually seeing it come to life in our village. But now that we're back here in our sort of area, I would like to make our way up and along and start planning out where we might actually throw in these sort of one pod bee farms, as well as where we'll set up our, I was about to say sugarcane farm. No, our kelp farm. So let's start off over here with our bee farms, because I would really love to have one probably nestled up here. And then maybe, because these ones here, they're empty, they happened when our friends all sort of despawned when I was logging in and out. But you know, it looks like that bug has been fixed, because as you guys can see, our horse has never despawned. I've also placed some of the mob heads from that Foxy No-Tails pack around the my spawn area and everything, and you know, none of them have despawned yet, so I think they've actually fixed that, which means we might be able to get ourselves a dog again and maybe some cats to keep away those creepers. But with that said, let's get back onto the idea, and I think, you know, maybe even like over here, coming this way into the hilltop and one facing that way, might be a really cool idea, and we'll be able to see them nicely from our house, but we'll also be able to see them from our pathway as we're coming up. Yes, as you can see, I am adding ever so slowly more to the enchanting tree, and I'm going to try and angle it so the branch or the trunk of it sort of slopes over a bit. I know it looks rough, but I think if I keep slowly adding blocks to it, it might come up good. That's what I'm hoping. That's why it's not really in any episode. It's something that I'm toying with. But as we come back along, we've got to definitely cover up these sort of builds now and actually put a building around them. I think I might even try and get that done today. But yeah, we could probably even come in over here, and I reckon we might even be able to fit another, actually yeah, we don't need to try and fit it, we could just place another one of our bee pods over here and have it sort of set up that way. Alright, so up here is sort of where, you know, this is the farming sort of hill with our rapidly aging copper. And you know, this is where we've got all of our different farms leading up. We've got our pumpkin and melon, we've got our bamboo, our sugarcane just down there. Right below us is our zombie farm, as well as I've also got a chicken cooker down there because Mark wanted to trade some feathers, and I thought, well, creating up a chicken cooker really gets your feathers quickly, so I just thought I'd add them over here. Alright, so with all that said, this is sort of the area where I want to keep all of our farms, because this is roughly where I feel safest to sort of go AFK. Not up here in the surface, I go in a little hole with the zombie spawner. But I think if we set up down here, like there's nothing over here, and we can extend our path to sort of wrap down the hill a little bit, like somewhere over here. And I reckon if we set up our kelp farm right here, now this would be really cool. We can probably even, because it's going to have a lot of water in it, we might even be able to collect ourselves some fish or an axolotl and have them living in like the water tank, so it can be like a bit of like an aquarium sort of fish tank, but at the same time we're getting kelp out of it. So I think that might be the plan. And I mean, as I've showed you the idea roughly of how it's going to be built up, and it's a little bit of a tedious task, what I'm going to do is just build up this farm here, as well as the bee ones, just dot them around, and then bring you guys back in, so that way we can hopefully decorate and actually put a build around all these things together. Alright guys, we are back now, and as you can see, I have one bee farm, or honeycomb farm, set up over there, and you can just see the corner of the white wool up on the hill there. But we've got a second one in, which came in a little bit late, so it doesn't have a lot of honeycomb yet. And as you can see, it does not look anywhere near as pretty as it did in our Crave Test World. And that's because, well, we just don't have enough honeycomb yet. So I've been trying to go AFK for a little bit, but at the same time I get a bit scared staying, you know, away from this game, because I don't want to get, you know, killed because I was AFK. That'd be stupid. Although my death probably will be stupid when it comes. But, you know, we've got this now set up over here and up there. We've got one more to put in just sort of where that cobblestone block is up on the hill there. And I think that'll be a nice little sort of collection that'll sort of just passively keep going through. And we'll be able to keep, you know, waxing all of our copper roofs that we've got, you know, still to sort of go to stop the aging process. So we've put these farms in, and now if we head on up to where I was saying to put the kelp farm, we can see how that's looking. Alright, now for our kelp farm, I thought I'd go a little bit fancy. It did bite me in the bum, because as you can see, we have one side a little bit higher than the other because I couldn't get my water streams to work, so I just had to lift one up. But this thing is just working away really, really good. Like, you know, I'm slowly going to be able to collect up all these blocks. I'm not going to have enough to actually... Oh, wrong camera angle. I'm not going to get enough to actually sort of do any roofs or any work in our village today. But hopefully I might smelt this up and see if we can get enough to get this floor pattern in, because as you can see, I kind of like it as a textured feel. Like, it looks like there might be tiles or something on the ground, but yeah, I don't know, I like that pattern. So we've got this built up over here, and we've got our bee farms set up. And, you know, we've also got our sugarcane and our, what's that one? Bamboo farms all sort of set up, but they all look like this. They're just the farm, they have no building around them. And you know, today I want to fix that. I mainly want to fix it for our sugarcane and bamboo farm. The bee farm I can't fix up yet until we get enough honeycomb, and this one I'm sort of toying up with another idea to sort of make this a 2-story farm setup. You know, not 2 lots of kelp farms, but you know, maybe a kelp farm here, and then up above it we might set up like a cactus farm. So, you know, I'm not too sure, so I don't want to touch this one yet, but I definitely want to go over and work on these ones. So let me just grab a few resources and we'll be right back. Alright, so what I'm thinking with this build is we might actually try and just form a house around it, and that way this could be maybe like one of the side walls or a little bit of a look-in sort of area. So what I'm thinking is, because I go around with all of these houses have just the standard oak sort of support wall, so, and then they've got an indent there, as you can kind of see where it goes in one with the actual wall block. So I might even just sort of come out one here, and that way if we grab a bit of this here, you can sort of see that we might be able to then just pillar these up along the wall line here. I also add in the variant of the stripped version because it sort of gives it a bit more texture and that sort of thing, and I really like that. So we've got to make sure we come up a little bit higher than where this is here. So we've got to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, puts us in line. And then I'm thinking if we go up one more, we might be able to then have sort of like a lip come up over here. So then once I've done that, I'll work out, okay, let's go out, it's 3, 6, and then I'm going to go 7, come out one at the diagonal, and we come up 6 again. So then I'm just going to repeat this so that we have a bit of a rectangle, because the center obviously isn't going to make a nice square. So yeah, I'll bring it back in when I've got that. Alright, so we've built up our little sort of rectangle now, and as you can see, where it sort of went off level with this platform, I've added in the cobblestone, which later I'll come in with a bit of stone and, you know, the brickwork and that sort of stuff, and give it a bit more texture. But I wanted to sort of really sort of show that this has been actually built up to fit with the land, rather than trying to make the land fit to it. It's also involved me bringing down the sort of support beam so it's all the way flush into the ground there. And I think that just sort of adds a little bit more to, like, you know, the reality of it, sort of actually showing that this is being built here and it's been supported up. Now it is becoming nighttime, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sleep away the night, and then when we come back I'll finish going around all of this area here with walls. Alright, catch you in the morning. Alright, so I've brought it now all the way up to sort of meet with the sort of lip up here. I'm thinking that we could even sort of continue on this stair pattern. So if I just make myself a crafting table, spin around and get ourselves some of the acacia stairs, we can continue on that pattern like this. And then I was thinking we could even then run it up along the top, sort of facing downwards, so that way, you know, it sort of looks like it's closing it in just a tad. And I think that might even give it a little cool effect. So let's give that a look. Yeah, that looks better already. And then we can come in with a torch maybe either side. I mean, what I would like to do is get more lanterns and actually place the lanterns either hanging down or just sitting on top and replace those middle torches. But I don't know, something like that might be alright. Maybe get some trapdoors in there. But for the main part, I'm happy with that. And then we've got our box around here, which, you know, we're going to need to work out. It's probably going to have to be some sort of access into the house from this side, because it's not very easily accessible from anywhere else. So if we come on through here and maybe go, let's chuck our door here. So in doing that, we'll need to also sort of just fill in the land just a little bit to make ourselves, that's not dirt, to make it a little bit easier for ourselves just to get in and that while we're working, and then we can prettify it later. We come straight in into the wooden, into cobblestone. That's not very convenient, however though, it keeps it with being center. And all I'm thinking of doing for this area here is putting in some chests so that we've got some maybe overflow storage. So, you know, we can come in here and maybe grab up some bamboo and craft them into sticks. That way we can then leave it here for when we go over to take it to mark, or when we're trying to smelt up some of the kelp. We have some fuel on hand that this thing just keeps pumping out for us. So, let's see. I don't have any floors in there, but I do up here. And we've used a lot of birch for that. And, I only have one birch slab. Alright, now that I've got the birch in, we can just sort of chuck in along here. Because we're on Bedrock, we get the lovely bonus of slabs will let the light come through. So just get out of here, flower. We can make use of that, so we don't need to have too much torch sort of spam within the building. It can all sort of be hidden within the flooring. That might be a good spot for a torch there. Right, so I thought that what we could do is chuck in our chests just up here like so. And then instead of, you know, not being able to actually use this space here, we can just put in some barrels. I'm going to need to make 2 more up, so that'll do. Let's actually chuck in our crafting table. I don't need to keep making more. So now we've got a nice little walkway that sort of comes into here, and then we can set up ourselves a little window. Now this is when I hope that I got it right in the middle. So we'll just have a sort of a 2x3 window over here. And then I think what we might do is actually come along here now and connect these sections here. But what I've been doing is using the acacia wood because it's got a bit more of a darker sort of dirtier tinge to it, I think, and it sort of just looks nice with the cobblestone trimming that I use. Now, just before the sun sets, and I've almost finished laying this out, I've just remembered that I've got to actually leave this front here and the one behind me open so we can actually do our little roof detail. So yeah, get that fixed up now. And I'm thinking what I might do is come over, because we've got some spare spruce trapdoors, and just lay these over the top here because they blend really nicely with the sort of the stripped oak wood. So as I mentioned before, we use the cobblestone as a little trimming around here, and sometimes I'll try and break it up a little bit and start using the slabs, and sometimes I'll go with the stairs. It sort of all really depends on, I don't know, just sort of how I think it looks when I sort of take a step back. It's one of the most important things I think about building in Minecraft, is always take a step back once you've built something, because yeah, that's when you'll properly see it. So you see here, like this would look cool, but I think I'm going to clash too far in there with this. So if I want this sort of sloped here, I'm going to have to push it back one. But looking back at that now, I'm like, ew, that doesn't look good at all. So let's break it down and try again. I'm looking at this and oh no, I was going to say, I think it's just the angle, but it looked off center. Alright, but I like that. I reckon that'll work up alright. Now all I've got to do is repeat that 3 more times, so flip it over and then do it on the other side. And then I'll probably, for this section here, I'm thinking, nah, yeah, we will. I'll just keep going with the cobblestone sort of slabs. And then maybe for up here, I might put like wool along these sections here, so that way it's got that marquee sort of set up. Alright, but for now, let me just get the frame up there, and then we can come back in when we're working out the details. Alright, see you in a sec. Alright, so we now have our frame fully set up and ready. Now for the next part, which is something that I always have to keep doing a lot of multiple trips of backwards and forwards getting, and that is doing the acacia and the copper stairs for the roof. Now, for this section here, I don't know, I'm still tossing up about putting the wool here, but I think for now I'm just going to use the normal pattern, just so we've got it all sort of set up set it up in a basic sort of form, because I want to test myself. And as we saw in the creative test world, I had a little peek out coming off of the roof for our stables area, and I've never actually really done a lot of that sort of work. And I was thinking maybe we could just get a sneaky little window up on this side facing out here somewhere. So what I want to do first off is just go around and place in all of these stairs, and then I'll bring it back in when I work out where I reckon the best place to sort of put that window in. Alright, I'll see you shortly. Alright guys, so I've got the roof in now, and I have done a little bit of editing, so I can see this video is getting a little bit long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly go through you guys now my idea of placement for that window. Then I'm going to finish up all this area here, do the detailing, and also build up the same sort of house around the sugarcane farm. You see my thought process, and I thought that was the main thing I wanted to capture in this video. So doing a bit of build with you guys, because I quite enjoy it. So I've marked out here lining up perfectly with our window that we have sort of down there. I think we want one frame around it, and then maybe have a bit of the wood come out to here. So if we come out one either side, and then just sort of do like a stack work of it into here, and then I kind of think might go something, oh, come on, something like that. And then we just sort of have a double roof coming out here, sticking out a bit. Alright, so this is my dirt idea and plan. Let me now quickly sort of get this built up, sleep away the night, and yeah, let's see how it all turns up in the morning. Alright guys, I'll see you with a brand new house and some new sort of fancy terrain. Alright, see you in a bit. Alright guys, so I have now been busy, and I have managed to build up what I think is a really cool sort of setup for our sugarcane farm, as well as doing a bit of the decoration on the hilltop leading up to the road there. Now, if I spin around, you will see that we do have some really nice sort of our pumpkins and some melons and some hay bales. We've got a few trees in there and a bit of bushes, but you will see that there is a very lack of decoration towards our bees, and in fact we're still needing to add that one in up over there. And that's because I really wanted to collect up a large amount of the honeycomb block. So we've got now roughly enough to make, one stack of the block, but I would like to have a bit spare so that way we can actually build up these areas really nice. So where the bees are, I've kind of left a little bit plain, but let's show what I have done. So as you can see, we're leading up here, and it's just, I love it. It's got that real sort of nice overgrown-ish cottage sort of setup. It's really nice and just relaxing to sort of just walk around and look. I'm really happy with it. Putting some of the composters around. As you can see, some of our pumpkins are glowing a little bit brighter, and that's because they're the jack-o'-lanterns, which I've stood this way and placed down so the faces weren't sort of seen. We've added in a bit more of the bamboo and the vines, as well as the nether, that crimson vine, which I've got dripped around everywhere, and also some of the warped vine, because I have no idea why, but I remember that after one of our nether trips, I just placed some of them down, and they've just been growing around the area that it's kind of like, it looks weird when there's not some of it around. But as we come up, we've got a nice little sort of wheelbarrow makeshift thing here, as well as our sugarcane farm. Now, I'm not going to lie, I much prefer the house that we did for our bamboo, and I'll show you the little shutout window. But I really love how I've done the sort of walk down here and the interior for this place. It's really cool. It's got a nice little view out to our house down there. We still have the one dirt block because the grass doesn't want to spread yet. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this little one popped up. It's really nice and cozy. And then we've got a little pathway that wraps around here to the other bees that we've got set up. But these guys are a little bit slower than the ones we got down there, and I've had a few problems with them shooting out their honeycomb where the other one hasn't, so I don't know. These ones I'm calling the lazy bees. So now if we continue on our path all the way back up here to where our bamboo farm is, we've got some nice composters and some barrels dotted around, another wandering trade ahead. And yeah, this farm has been going really cool for us. It's working nicely. I've added in a little step up and a pathway, as well as another one of those wheelbarrows, and oh yeah, it's full. It's been raining obviously. And then we've just got the same sort of interior left from here. I've got to go around and start waxing all this copper, I know. Outside here, I've got this spot left plain because I want to build up a custom tree. Now, not one like our enchanting setup that's going to take a bit of time, but just another one that I can sort of pop up probably between episodes. So that's why this is plain, but it also lets us have a good view of our little shutout window. Now, I did just sort of make it a false window, so it's just got the glowstone, I blanked on the name, behind the glass panes there, but I reckon it looks really cool, and it sort of adds a nice light touch to the roof of this building. Now, I've connected up the pathway to the melon pumpkin farm, but I haven't yet actually done any extra work in there. And as for our kelp farm, I've just added in a smoker, so that way we can start getting it away. So now we've got at least one block of dried kelp. So next episode, I think we're definitely going to go over and build up our stables at least, and then get all of our animals over there, as well as maybe even start building up some of the houses, because I think after maybe another AFK session here or so, we might have enough, hopefully, to get a house or two up. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I think it's been a very successful building episode. We've managed to come up with our design for our village and use some different blocks which we wouldn't normally use, which has led us to have to build a farm to actually, acquire the block, as well as build up some really cool little houses over here that serve the only purpose of covering up our farm. So I think this looks so much better than having just those jutted out little builds over there before, and it really sort of gives a lot more life to this area, and I'm so happy with how our base is coming up, our home village. But with all that said, guys, that is going to be the end of the episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and yeah, until next time,